Welcome and welcome back to the What's Up Girlfriend podcast. My name is Leigha Chrstine and I am your host. Now let's get into this week's episode. I'm so happy to be back chatting with you guys today. It is Sunday. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and all I can think about are the wings I'm about to have tonight. Before we have our chicken wings, let's get into this podcast today, which is all about the book, all about the book, The Slight Edge. This was my first book of 2025. This was a reread. I've talked a little bit about this in previous episodes. This is one of the best self-development, self-help type books that I've ever read. And we're going to be just talking through some of the main ideas today, some of the big concepts that have stuck out to me and that I just want to talk about and share with you. But before we get into that, we have to talk about what's new. I just have a couple things on my what's new list today. The first one being that I recently landed, I don't know what word we would use for this, but I landed a independent UGC contract. Independent meaning not connected through the TikTok UGC program that I'm a part of. This partnership came to me in my email. It was an inbound from Peter Thomas Roth. I have no idea how they found me. I really need to start asking these brands how they are finding me, because every partnership I've ever done has been an inbound. I am wanting to do more outbound, like outreach to this year, but every partnership I've ever done has been inbound, and I have no idea how these people find me. So anyways, I landed that contract. It's a 6-month long contract, and I just have to create 2 UGC videos per month for Peter Thomas Roth. And I'm just really excited about it because with TikTok still being up in the air, it's nice to know I will have at least some sort of guaranteed income for the next 6 months. And obviously I'm hoping that at the end of those 6 months that they will maybe want to renew the contract with me and we can go for another 6 months, but we will see. But I'm super excited about that. Next on my what's new list is I test drove a few cars the past week or two. I'm not looking to buy a new car right now. You guys know I recently paid off my current car and it's in decent condition right now. There's nothing seriously wrong with this car, but I do need to start looking into getting a new car because it's getting high in miles. And also it's going to be my 30th birthday this year in May. And I'm thinking as a gift for myself that I want to get a new car. So I did decide to test drive a few cars that I've been kind of just, have been in my mind. And I'm really glad I test drove them because the car that was at the top of my list, which was the Lexus GX 550, I actually did not like how it drove. So I will have a vlog be coming out. I think by the time you guys are listening or watching this, that vlog should be out and you'll see the whole car test driving process that I did. So that was kind of fun. I have never bought a car on my own. So I'm just kind of excited about it. And I'm just starting to save up some money for it so that once I am ready, then I'll be ready to go. And I want to have a hefty down payment because I'm really not trying to have a crazy monthly car payment. And then the last little thing I want to mention is I'm super proud of myself because as you guys know, my goal this year is to put out a minimum of 12 podcast episodes. And in January, we already did 3. So I feel like I'm on a really good track. I took last week off mainly because I was still finishing up reading this book and I knew I wanted to do my book review for my next episode. So we took last week off, which was kind of nice too, to reset, have a week off. And then now we're back. It's February. Happy Black History Month. And we're just still moving forward with this goal. And I'm still having so much fun with this podcast. So just thank you for being here. Thank you for listening or watching. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get into this topic. So as I've mentioned, I have read The Slight Edge before. This was a reread for me. And I wanted to reread it because I remember the impact it had on me at the time that I read it the first time. I was like, oh, this is kind of a different approach or viewpoint on self-development. And I thought it would be beneficial for me to return to this book as opposed to reading another self-development book, because I think it's easy to fall into this trap with self-help and self-development books and constantly thinking you need to read another, and cross them off a list. Instead, the way I think we can think about self-development books is almost like a Bible, right? And I'm not a religious person by any means, but people return to the Bible and certain scriptures all the time, right? Or whatever religious text it may be. And I think that's the way that I'm kind of looking at self-development now. Instead of trying to cross off a bunch of these books off a list, maybe find a handful that seem to really impact you or really resonate, and kind of keep those as the ones that you return to, and just remind yourself of those certain ideas. So that's what The Slight Edge was for me. The Slight Edge is written by Jeff Olson, and it says, The Slight Edge, turning simple disciplines into massive success and happiness. And there is a huge emphasis on the simple disciplines part with this book. And I think that's why I like it so much, because this book is not about, telling you have to change everything about your life and you need to change every single habit that you're doing and you need to become a totally different person, yada, yada, yada. It's not about having this extreme behavior change, really. What it's more about is identifying those small disciplines, those small daily actions that you can take that will get you to wherever you want to be in life, or that will help you accomplish whatever your goals are and to become the person that you are wanting to become. This book is divided into 2 parts. So part 1 is all about how the slight edge works. And then part 2 is all about living the slight edge, right? So part 1 is educating you on, okay, how does this concept work? What does it even mean? And then part 2 is putting that into action and helping you come up with concrete ways that now you can live the slight edge, right? So I know you're probably wondering, like, okay, what is the slight edge? Like, it kind of sounds like this, ambiguous term that you're like, I don't even get what it means. So I'm going to read it exactly. I have my notes here on my phone. I'm going to read exactly what it says in the book. What is it? The slight edge are just the small daily disciplines, simple, productive actions repeated consistently. Okay. So let's think of a specific example. Let's say you have a fitness goal, right? And you're trying to get stronger. A lot of people are going to look at this goal and think they need to totally change everything they're doing. They need a brand new workout program. They need to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and have these extreme differences in their behavior. The slight edge is saying, hey, you have the information, you have the workout plan, you know what you need to do to get stronger. What you need to do is just do it and do those actions consistently. And over time, you will get closer to that goal, or you will accomplish that goal. I'm going to read a specific passage here, okay? So Jeff Olson says, the slight edge is not just more good information. It's not another self-help success book packed with some revolutionary new best way of doing things. You don't need that. Nobody needs that. All the new and better information is already available. It has been for years. This book isn't more information. It is the catalyst that will help you put that good information to use. It's the missing ingredient you need for all the personal development books, how-tos, and life guides to work. The Slight Edge will help you apply all the information you learn from the health book, the sales book, the investment book, the positive attitude book. The Slight Edge is the book you need to read, highlight, and reread along with your fitness class, your career planning, your continuing education, and pursuit of new skills, okay? So I think that's what I love about this book is it's all about taking the amazing information that you already know and taking the skills that you already have and putting them into action. It's about doing those things. You have the information. You have the workout program. You know what you should be eating. You know how consistently you should be at the gym. You know how heavy you should be lifting. So now put that knowledge, put everything that's in your head and put that into action. And I think if you're someone who is already very self-aware of what your habits are, and you know that you're that person that's always, doing the extra research, watching another video, reading another self-development book, you already have this baseline of self-awareness that you don't need more information, right? That is what this book, that's the target audience of this book. The people like me, the people like you, who you have that baseline understanding and you know what it takes to reach your goals and whatever goals you may have. And this book is helping you actually put all of that information into action. Jeff Olson also talks a lot about compound interest, right? And I think when we hear compound interest, we think about our finances and we think about money, but the same is true with the daily habits and the daily choices that we are making. So over time, right, if you're making these small choices every single day, the results of those choices add up over time. And those results can either serve you or they can hinder you. And what he says throughout this book is that those daily actions are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. Let's think about our nutrition habits, okay? For those of us who know how much we're supposed to be eating, the types of foods that we should be eating to serve our health and to serve whatever goals we may have that make us feel good, that bring us fulfillment and enjoyment. It's easy to make those choices, but it's also easy not to do it, right? And it's easy to just go through the drive-thru 5 days a week. But if you're someone who has worked on your nutrition habits and you've cooked at home, you know that cooking at home really doesn't take that much more time, as long as you've done the grocery shopping. Okay, I get it. A lot of this is also in your mindset, okay? So if you tell yourself that it's so inconvenient and it's so difficult to eat at home and it takes so much time and it's just so much easier to just go drive through the Chick-fil-A drive-through or go to Chipotle, right? If that's the perspective that you have and that's the way that you are looking at it, then the choice of eating out and eating fast food multiple times per week, that's the one that you're going to make because you're already psychologically convincing yourself that that is the easier option. And please take this from someone who thoroughly enjoys eating out, okay? I love eating out. I am not the biggest fan of cooking at home. However, since the new year, really, Brandon and I have both really committed to eating more of our meals at home. And I will say we feel so much better. Number one, we feel so much better. Our bodies feel better. I know mentally, I just feel better knowing the fact that I'm cooking at home and making my own food. And whenever I have been cooking at home, I make it a point to tell myself, wow, this really doesn't take that much more time. This actually was really easy to do. Like, I'm not even kidding. I say that. I'm like, wow, this dinner was really quick to make. This really didn't take that much time. And genuinely, I don't make like super crazy recipes or anything. I'm a very simple girl when it comes to the foods that I eat. So that obviously plays a role there. And we also don't have kids or anything. But I will say though, if you can kind of like gaslight yourself and convincing yourself that, hey, it actually is not that difficult to eat at home and it doesn't take that much time to cook my food at home, just that simple perspective shift makes a huge difference. And let's give another example of something that is easy to do and also easy not to do. That would be working out and going to the gym, okay? So it's easy to skip your workout, or it's easy to go to the gym and do your lift, but then skip your cardio, right? Because the thing is, we don't get the feedback immediately from skipping one workout or skipping 2 workouts or 3 workouts. You don't get that immediate feedback of your health starting to fail or gaining weight or losing weight, depending on whatever your goals are. Because I always want to make sure I'm inclusive with the way I'm speaking, because I know there's people out there who have to try really hard to not gain weight, and then there's other people who have to try really hard to gain weight. Whatever your goal is, you don't get that feedback right away just from skipping a couple workouts. And this goes back to that whole idea of compound interest, right? Think about saving money. When you start saving money, or if you're investing money especially, you don't see that payoff until years down the end. And I'm talking like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And the same thing can be true when it comes to our health and our fitness. You don't see that immediate feedback the same day or the same week. It's not until 6 months later or a year later we're like, oh, all those skipped workouts have really added up. Or all those times that I've just driven through the fast food drive-through versus cooking at home, it has added up. And it's like, I feel like a lot of us can speak to one day we like look in the mirror or we see a photo of ourselves and we're like, oh my gosh, that's me. And that's when it kind of hits us that this is almost like all of a sudden happened, but it hasn't happened all of a sudden. It's been happening slowly over time, because each day where you have made the decision either to do that habit or to not do it. And then that's how you end up in that place of, whoa, how did this happen so quickly? And that brings me to another idea that Jeff Olson talks about, which is the power of time. I know for me, sometimes like the thought of time moving so quickly or just getting older, it can feel scary. And you're like, oh my gosh, time is moving so fast. And and I haven't done A, B, and C yet. But what Jeff Olson says is that the power of time, it can either be your friend or it can be your enemy. And again, this is down to a shift in perspective, okay? And I'm going to relate a lot of things to fitness because that's obviously a huge background of mine. You can relate this to financial goals. You can relate it to relationship goals, career goals. You know, like this can be applied to many different areas of life. But I think the power of time is a really big one when it comes to our health and fitness, because think about all of the 30-day challenges that are out there, or the 6-week challenges, or 8-week challenges, 90-day challenges, 75 hard, right? You are then putting this specific period of time on your fitness goals of, okay, I need to get to my goal by day 75, or I need to get to my goal by day 30. And then what happens if you don't get to your goal? Then what happens? If it's been 30 days and you're like, shoot, I wanted to lose 5 pounds and I'm only down 2. Do you give up or do you keep going? Because if you give up, then a 30-day program is a 30-day program. But if you keep going, then that 30-day program wasn't really a 30-day program, right? It was a for life program. And that's why I, as a fitness coach, do not do fitness challenges anymore, because what I want to influence and to help people do is to create lasting habits that aren't limited to a certain amount of time. The changes and the improvements that people make during these fitness challenges a lot of the time are good changes, are good habits that they're putting in place. What I have seen so many times and what I've experienced myself as a participant in these fitness challenges and also as a coach of them in the past is that people are only committed to making those changes for the duration of the challenge. And then once the challenge is over, those changes and habits and daily actions are also over. And I think that's a good example of time either being your enemy or your friend. In the case of a fitness challenge, when you feel like you only have 60 days to reach your goal, in that scenario, time doesn't necessarily feel like a friend. It feels like this thing that is putting pressure on you, that is making you stress out, because if you don't reach your goal by day 60, then you're going to feel like a failure, right? But what if you instead committed to these changes and improvements in your habits for life, right? Number one, they have to be sustainable. If you went into your health and your fitness journey knowing that, hey, this is a change that I'm going to be making for the rest of my life, even when I say that, it brings me a sense of peace and a sense of comfort that, hey, I'm committing to this forever. There's no pressure to do everything in the next 30 days. I can learn at my own pace and I can make improvements at my own pace. Of course, we still want to see results. That doesn't mean we're not caring about what our results are, but it means that we're committing to it for the long run. Time is on our side because we know that with time, we will get from point A to point B. And then since we aren't being, constricted by these very rigid timelines like fitness challenges put us to, we have this comfort in knowing that I'm committing to this for the long term. And even once I get to my goal, then the new goal becomes maintaining those results. So these then are still habits and daily actions that you are committing to engaging in on the regular. Jeff Olson also talks a lot about the 95% versus the 5%. And I really love this example that he uses throughout the book because it helps me make those on the spot decisions and it makes me more aware of what my choices are. And so let me give you an example. I am currently working on waking up earlier in the mornings. And so this past week, I woke up at 7 a.m. every single day. Now, to give you some context, I am usually more of an 8:30 in the morning person. So not too crazy of a difference, but just having that extra hour in the morning lets me have my slower morning. It allows me to do my reading. It allows me to do any cleaning up or whatever it may be before I actually get my day started. So as I have been waking up this past week, and my alarm goes off and maybe I want to click snooze or I'm just feeling so tired, the question in my mind goes, okay, in this situation, in this scenario, what would the 95% do? Or what would the 5% do? Okay. Meaning most people are going to click snooze and they're going to stay in bed, right? Versus the 5%. The group of people that I'm trying to be a part of, the successful people, the people that I aspire to become, or the people who inspire me, that 5%, they're going to turn off that alarm and they're going to get out of bed and then they're going to get their day started. And this awareness of my choices and asking myself in that moment, what would the 95% do? What would the masses do? What would most people do? And for me, I'm also identifying the 95% as people who I don't necessarily aspire to become, people who are not necessarily inspiring to me, whether it may be their lifestyle or their mindset, right? That's kind of how I'm grouping this 95% group. And in contrast, the 5% are the people who I do aspire to be like, the people who have lives that look like they're full of happiness and full of freedom and full of comfort. The people who reach their goals and who are able to cross off the accomplishments on their list. That's how I attach the 5%. And so when it comes to that moment of making a specific choice, whether it's getting out of bed right when your alarm goes off, whether it's making it to the gym for that workout, whether it's posting that piece of content or going out of your way to make someone else's day better and giving a compliment to some random person that you see in a grocery store. Like, it can be super small or it can be something bigger that relates to the life goals that you have. But in the moment of the decision, ask yourself, what would the masses do? What would the 95% do? What would the people who don't necessarily have lives that I aspire to have, what would they do? Versus what would the 5%, the people who are on the success curve, what decision would they make in that moment? Another great self-development book that I've read before is called Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that one, I think Atomic Habits and The Slight Edge go super well together. So definitely check that one out as well. But towards the end of The Slight Edge, there's a chapter called Cultivating Slight Edge Habits. And one of the habits, this is habit number 5, is cultivate a burning desire backed by faith. He then goes on to say, we think of desire as a powerful force because we often feel it so strongly. But the truth is, desire in itself is often a pretty fickle, weak thing. This really reminds me of the motivation versus discipline type thing. Motivation is one of those things when we feel it, we really feel it. But sometimes we have absolutely no motivation. He continues on and says, sometimes though, desire gets deep down on the inside and starts to burn. And when it does, it can burn for years. That's the kind of desire that gets you up early and keeps you up late. It's what keeps you motivated to press forward when adversity hits. A desire like that can move mountains and alter the course of rivers. Here is the truth about burning desire. It is a powerful force and it works in 2 directions depending on what you see. Most people wish for big things but can't really see themselves getting them. The few who achieve great things are those who not only passionately wanted to achieve them, but also clearly see themselves achieving them. That's the key to harnessing the power of desire. It is like a team of wild horses that need a driver to steer them in the right direction. And that driver is your vision. A burning desire backed by faith simply means deeply, passionately wanting to get somewhere and knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing that you're going to get there. When I tell you, this is so much of how I live my life. When there's something that I really want, it's because number 1, I have this burning desire within me and I can envision myself achieving that goal. And because I can envision myself having whatever that thing is, and I have that burning desire, those 2 things together, vision and desire, then you start behaving in a way to make that passion or that dream or that goal to come true because you know it's yours. You know that it's yours and it's just a matter of time before it becomes reality. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, think about that thing in your life that you really want. Maybe it's owning a home one day. Maybe it is some sort of career aspiration. Maybe it's some sort of financial goal. If you have this burning desire within you and you can envision that thing coming true for yourself, that in itself, vision and desire, is going to take you so much further than someone who doesn't have that burning desire and they would say, oh yeah, it would be cool for that to happen. There's a difference between just wanting something and having that burning desire within yourself that like almost keeps you up at night. Just as he said, the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning and keeps you up late at night. That's the difference, right? And so if you know that that thing is already yours, if you can already envision that thing being yours or being your reality, and you have the desire to help propel your decisions and push you forward every single day, every single week, that has to be one of the most powerful forces. And because you have that force, it's going to make making those daily decisions and those small disciplines, it's going to make those things even easier for you to do. And the thing that I want to leave you with is a part towards the end of the book where Jeff Olson says, your dreams/goals may be big, but the steps to get there are small. As someone who dreams big and sets big goals for myself, I understand that sometimes the goal itself can feel a bit overwhelming and it can feel so far away. Like, whoa, I want to do all these things with my life. Like, how the heck am I going to get there when you feel like you're not even close? But the thing is, in order to get closer to that big goal, that big dream, you have to just take a step day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, depending on how big the goal is. And eventually you will get there and you will accomplish the goal and you will be living that dream. But you have to take the first step. You have to start doing. You have to start taking action. You can't just be living up here in your brain, envisioning and thinking and hoping that all these things are going to come true. You have to actually take the steps and the actions that will get you to that dream and to that goal. So I'm sure if you're listening to this and you're watching this, there has to be one dream or one goal that you are thinking about that keeps you up late at night, that wakes you up in the morning. It's that thing you're always thinking about. And now I want you today to take one small action that is going to get you closer to that goal and break that goal down into maybe 4 or 5 smaller goals so that while you're on your way to that massive goal, you are slowly checking things off of the list as you inch your way closer to achieving that dream. That's going to help bring structure to your goals. It's going to help keep you motivated and kind of keep your eye on the prize because you know that you're doing things every single day to get you closer to that. And the thing is, we're all human and we can be easily distracted by things. So make sure that while you're moving closer to this goal, that you are also reflecting on the actions that you're taking and you're making sure that they're actually working in your favor and that they're actually helping push you closer to that main goal you have. Because you may be doing things, but you might not be doing the right things to get you to where you want to be. And this is so common in the fitness space. People are like, I've been working out, I've been eating better. Okay, but depending on what your goals are you working out in a way that makes sense, that is actually going to help get you to whatever your fitness goal may be? If you want to increase the size of your glutes, or just in general, you want to do some body recomposition, but you're not lifting weights, well, you might be working out and hitting the cardio machines and maybe doing some yoga and Pilates. But if you have some big body recomposition goals and you want to put some more muscle on your frame, you have to be lifting weights. So just make sure that the actions that you are taking are the right actions, because that really does matter. And then you're not going to be spinning your wheels and wasting your time doing actions or daily disciplines that aren't necessarily working in your favor. So those are my main takeaways from The Slight Edge. If you could see this book, there's so much highlighted in here. Like, I didn't even really get too deep into all of the main points that really stuck with me, because I also want to leave some for you guys to discover on your own. So I highly recommend reading this book, maybe even rereading it if you've already read it before. And I'll just read you what's on the back cover too, to just end you with the main goal of this book. So he says, the slight edge is a way of thinking that enables you to make the daily choices that will lead you to the success and happiness you deserve. Learn why some people make dream after dream come true, while others just continue dreaming and spend their lives building dreams for someone else. The Slight Edge is not just another self-help tool for traveling the path to success. It is the doorway to creating powerful results in any area of your life by using tools you already hold within you. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I will leave a link down in the description box if you are watching on YouTube, or if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There will also be a link down in the show notes if you want to grab a copy for yourself. This is an affiliate link, so I will receive a small commission if you do purchase through that link. So thank you in advance. And if you guys have any thoughts or comments or ideas, or if you've already read this book, definitely leave me a comment down below. I would love for us to have a little bit of conversation and dialogue about it. And if nothing else, I hope that this episode maybe relit a fire underneath you and maybe reminded you of the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year, and helped you see that, sometimes you don't need to totally change the habits or the goals or the things that you've been doing on a daily basis, but you simply just need to keep doing them and give them the time to actually work, and so that you can see the results of those daily actions. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.